Finishing out my QUIKRETE sponsorship this month of May, I decided to bring you 3 videos in 3 days of 3 very easy concrete DIYs. I'm going to kick it off with a simple bucket planter. I've listed and linked everything down below for you material-wise what I'm using here. I measured the smaller bucket, then marked it into the larger bucket just so I had a rough idea how thick the base of the planter needed to be concrete-wise. I sprayed down the bucket with some oil per your guys' suggestion just to see if it helped, and then I mixed my QUIKRETE in another bucket and poured it into this bucket that's all oiled up to the mark that I made with my Sharpie. Do not judge me for what you're about to see. I had to make 2 of these, so I show you my redo, which kind of goes a little bit smoother, but I knock all the air bubbles out like I've shown you before with some vibration. I place the smaller bucket into filling it up and like pushing it in the QUIKRETE. I just wanted to give this a go. I put QUIKRETE into a trash bag, cut the tip like a frosting bag, and now it looks like I'm pooping concrete into the sides. It was a mess, but you know, I pushed through. I just wanted to see if it worked. I weighted down the smaller bucket so it doesn't pop up with some rocks from my front yard, and then put a little piece of wood over it and just made sure it was level prior to taping it down in place so it could dry. I let this sit for 3 days, and when I came back, I just thought, oh, this is gonna pop right out. We oiled it up perfect. On contraire, I didn't pay attention when I pushed the smaller bucket in, and one of the lips, like the grooves on the outside, actually sunk underneath the QUIKRETE. So I had to just sit for a while and put a lot of power behind it and like rip these buckets to shreds essentially. Before you start to freak out about me cutting that Home Depot bucket, they are only $4, and yes, my heart broke a little bit as well, but I don't know what I did wrong. It would not budge, so I just, again, ripped that bucket to shreds. Before moving on to the stand portion, I do want to show you my second go at this. Instead of mixing the QUIKRETE in another bucket, I just did it in the one that the planter is actually going to be drying in. Once I hit the Sharpie line, I actually just kept going because this time I'm going to push the smaller bucket all the way into the QUIKRETE until it just hits that bottom lip, so I just make sure I'm not filling it past and we have that problem like we did before where the lip dried in it. If you guys have any suggestions, please comment them down below, because even though I've been doing this with QUIKRETE for a while, I feel like there's just this thing about concrete that I can't figure out. But anyways, I digress. As my second planter was drying, I went back to the first planter, rested that on some scrap plywood that I had on hand, and traced the base of it. I doubled up on it because obviously both planters are going to be the same exact size, and I need to make 2 wood stands. I had some 1¼ inch wooden dowels on hand from my pegboard DIY, and I just cut those down to be the height of which I wanted my stand to be. This is all custom for you, but these are about 5 inches. My router was not working. There's a bit that's jammed into it. My jigsaw, a little bolt fell off, so I opted for my scroll saw to cut out the circles. I sanded the edges until smooth on my belt sander, but also keep in mind you don't have to cut out a wooden round. You can try to source one that's the size of the base of your planter. I arranged the 4 legs to go sort of out towards the edges more, and I honestly just eyeballed this and just traced them so I knew where to go in with my Forstner drill bit. You want to clamp your wood down to secure it prior to drilling, and also just note that you do not want to go all the way through this wood. To ensure that all the holes were the same depth, I used just the black portion of that Forstner drill bit as a stopping point when it was level with the wood. With a smaller drill bit, I just went through the center of that hole to pre-drill a hole for my screws to go in through the other side. I sanded down the wood as well, and then I went ahead and added some wood glue for extra security, popped those legs into place, flipped it over, and screwed through the top into the wooden legs, and there you go. I didn't stain this wood, and I know that drives you guys a little bit crazy, but I did add some exterior spar urethane onto it just to protect it from the sun and all the weather elements while it sits in my backyard all pretty. I went back to the concrete planter my second go around a couple days later, and I didn't have to destroy the buckets as much, but I did have to cut them open still. I used a chisel to go around the top and just scrape off the excess, and literally that was it, and I'm very, very pumped about this. The only difference I could see between the 2 planters, the one that I poured the QUIKRETE into, there was no like swirl marks, but the one that I mixed the QUIKRETE in, you can see the swirl marks from mixing, and that was my only like thing I didn't like.
I'm sorry. Are you barking at me for a basketball right now?
And yes, my sassy girl is back to full health, so I am full speed ahead. I can't wait to share the other 2 projects over the next 2 days with you guys as I finish up this QUIKRETE sponsorship. Thank you so much for all your love and support and being patient with me while my dog was healing. I will catch you tomorrow for another DIY.